Sir, good evening. Saravanan here.
Hi, Saravanan. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. Hi, Prasanna. Good evening.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Excuse me, doctor. We are live now.
Yeah, okay. So, good evening, friends, and our vibrant young ophthalmologists and future leaders in ophthalmology. I'm happy to welcome you all to this special TNOA Thursday webinar. This is not just another meeting, but another grant and effort by the TNOA Young Ophthalmologist Committee, and also a stepping stone to all the young ophthalmologists because this webinar is a thing that is opening new vistas and new gates to the youngsters in our TNOA. So today we gather under this theme, together we grow towards excellence. So it's like a family of gardeners, each nurturing their own plants, but sharing water, sunlight, and stories that help all gardens to flourish. So we are here to learn about winning grants, but also to learn from each other, because each speaker I see is like a guide, mentor to many of us. And also they have gone through this path earlier. So they are in a great position to guide all of us as well as the young ophthalmologists. So let's listen, ask questions, and dream big. And let's sow the seeds of knowledge you collect tonight, grow into trees of success that stand tall for years to come. So welcome to our TNOA Thursday webinar. I'm happy to welcome the giants in this field. We have the honor of having Dr. Venkatesh, who's been a mentor for many youngsters and guiding them not only in innovation, research, and clinical work, but also many frontiers. And Arvind Pondi, after his joining, has become a hub of innovations and growth. Thank you, Venkatesh sir, for joining us, and welcome to this webinar.
Thank
We
you.
also have Dr. Bala, my friend, who's the co-chairperson. Bala has been through this journey following me, and I was happy seeing his progress and journey. Now settled in Erode, has gone abroad and has rich experience in guiding the youngsters. Welcome, Bala. And we also have our international renowned speaker as well as another innovator par excellence, Dr. Susan Jacob. Welcome, Susan. And of course, we have our ARC chairman, Dr. Atik, with us to share his journey and expertise with all of you. And happy to see Dr. Tendral. Welcome, Tendral. She was my junior colleague here, and now from India to US, she has done two research fellowship, and I'm sure she will share her rich experience with all of you, and that will also be an inspiring journey. Welcome, Tendral. And of course, we have our moderators, Dr. Nishant and Niranjan Karthik, and the convener, Dr. Prasanna. So these three youngsters has been the foundation on which we have the Rocking Tamil Nadu Ophthalmic Association, Young Ophthalmologist Society here. So welcome all three of you, and happy to see the young yo speakers, Dr. Madhavi, Dr. Apurva, Dr. Bharat, Dr. Anujit, and Dr. Akshay, who's been with us before as well as joining today as speakers. So welcome all of them, as well as Dr. Mithun, Dr. Pranesh, Dr. Vivek, and Dr. Arnav and Maria for this program. So welcome all of you, and happy to see our MC members and senior leaders with us, and also see a lot of people joining us in the YouTube as well. So together, let's grow towards excellence. To all the young ophthalmologists as well as TNOA members joining today. So let this be an inspiring start of a journey. So thank you one and all for joining here. Let's learn from the experts here and also get inspired by the youngsters. So welcome aboard. Let's sail towards our collective aspirations. Welcome all of you.
Thank you, President sir.
Over to you, Prasanna.
Yes, sir. A few words from Venkatesh sir and Bala sir before we start the speakers. Yes, sir.
I think it's a very unique symposium or whatever, webinar, because it's online. But I'm not sure whether somebody has done this before. Any idea, Prasanna? Is something similar happened before?
I don't think so, sir.
Not on this subject.
Definitely not on this subject. So it's very interesting because I still remember 25 years before when I first got a travel grant to go to WOC. No, it was called ICO those days. It was in Sydney, Australia. No, it was a very unique experience to get that travel grant. And what I still remember is the travel grant was so much, I was even able to buy a laptop at the end of my trip in Singapore. So those sweet memories are there. And following which, I personally got several travel grants, at least 7 I can remember, including something which you won't even think of. It's something called Health Technology Assessment International, no, where it was a conference on health technology, and wherein they had travel grants. I had a couple of meetings, one in Adelaide and one in Canada. So these are all opportunities which are there now, even much more than what it was 2 decades back. And more importantly, I think this generation is seeing that sea change in, one is awareness, second is you have that connectivity. I still remember when I had to submit the abstract for ICO, I had to go to a internet cafe, and then I still remember 1 hour, 20 ரூபாயோ 30 ரூபாயோ, then it was over. I had just entered the methods, and then results and conclusion was pending. That guy was standing behind me. Sir, இன்னொரு 1 மணி நேரம் கட்டணும் சார் நீங்க பணம். So it was like that. Just to submit an abstract, I took almost 3 hours sitting in that internet cafe. And now we have come a long way, where everything is there in your hands. But more importantly, to get these grants, you need some good work to begin with, a good abstract and things like that, which many of our colleagues are going to share. But I think this is very unique, and I'm sure people watching this online today and maybe the recorded session will also benefit. But keep one point in mind, the minute you cross 40, you can never try this, because most of the grants are up to the age of 40. It's like a ceiling, and that is what many of them follow. So if you are under 40, I'm sure you're going to enjoy this webinar. Thank you, Prasanna.
Bala sir, our co-chair. Yes, sir. Few words.
Yeah. My journey has been different. I've not been through any travel grants, but through route to UK and back to India. So this is way back in '95. Nirmal was my senior. So those days we did not have any information regarding after your post-graduation what to do. If you want to go abroad, you have to really struggle to get information. So from that point of view, about the session arranged today is fantastic. I think credit to the TNOA Young Ophthalmologist Forum to create such programs so that anybody who's interested gets the information at just in attending this session. To get this type of information, first-hand information from people who have already gone through the process, it is not easy those days. As Dr. English was saying, those days with no connectivity, you have to really travel. For example, I still remember when I wanted to take the FRCS exam, I'll ask Nirmal, anybody from his batch or anybody has taken, then you'll say, yes, come from UK for a holiday. Then I will request Nirmal to put a word and then go to his place and find out how the exam is. So that sort of effort we have to put those days. But nowadays, I think the world has become small, especially with the connectivity. And once again, I'm looking forward to this session. I hope young ophthalmologists, postgraduates, take the use of this session and take whichever pathway they find will be useful. So looking forward to the session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have a senior ophthalmic panel, Dr. Susan Jacob, ma'am. Ma'am, a few words from you before we start the symposium.
Welcome, Susan, a globe-trotting ophthalmologist.
Thanks. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you for having invited me here, Nirmal and Dr. Prasanna. Yeah, I think this is a lovely initiative by TNOA, and I'm sure we'll see many much such more initiatives under your helm, Nirmal. And Dr. Prasanna, great initiative by you too. Thank you for having invited me. I agree with what was said by the previous speakers, that the path that we had to tread was much more difficult, since there wasn't really what should I say? There was a lot of confusion about how to go ahead with a lot of things. And our, I would say, exposure was much lesser, considering that, things were not as easily available online, YouTube and all these things. So we really had to search much more and find out things through different paths. But I think the advantage that the present generation has is that everything is available at their fingertips, and you also have people who have gone ahead of you, from whom you can get lots of tips and, how to go about this path. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing in this webinar.
Thank you, ma'am. We also have Dr. Arul sir with us. Sir, a few words, sir. Yeah.
Sir is online.
Yes, sir. Okay. So we have 5 YO speakers. So before we start, Nishant sir, okay, Dr. Nishant is our YO committee chairperson. So a few words from him before we start the meeting.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Sorry for the video. I'm just driving back to the hospital. Thank you, President. Said that every webinar, what we have done till now, is something which we wanted it to be unique. We wanted it to be different, sir. Thank you so much for putting forward that, yes, this is also a unique webinar. So thanks, Prasanna. He's been my co-person who's doing a wonderful job. So I'm just looking forward to all these young speakers who help us to know about the grants. As you rightly said, that it's not only what we can do, it's how to reach the place.
Thank you, Nishant sir. So
Prasanna, you can take over. I think the
yes,
signal is.
voice is not audible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Show below. So let's
update.
go.
Yes, sir. A quick update on the previous activities with the TNOA UO task force team. So we started with the innovations, which was episode 1, and it was a sounding hit. We had Dr. Aarti from MRF Foundation, and then we had innovation 2, and Suveen Bhattacharya sir helped us with how to go about patenting and what not and what more. And then we had the fellowship examinations horizon and beyond, which was the 3rd capsule, which crossed more than 1,600 views. And then we had a career guidance, which was episode 4. So as you can see, among the 7 episodes, 5 have crossed more than 1,000. And we had a FICO examination module during the month of December, January, when FICO exams were taking place. And we had a record number of people who crossed FICO this year, especially compared to the previous years. And we had a social media optimization session. Then we also had subspecialty breakdown, which was the previous session. And here we are today with a total milestone of 7897 plus views with 538 plus likes. And so we are in episode 8, which is the Born Voyage Scholar. And so these are the milestones of all the 7 previous episodes of the TNOA task force, which has been done. So without much delay, we would have the YO international perspective as a keynote in the last. And we'll go for the YO speakers. A few words from Dr. Tendril, our international YO panel, before we can go to the first speaker, which will be Dr. Bharat, who wanted to go first. A few words from you, Dr. Tendril, before we go to Dr. Bharat.
Yeah, a very good evening. First of all, kudos to the great teamwork and under the guidance of Dr. Nirmal sir. And like I've been following all your webinars, and I've been watching it live. And like you have been covering all the gray areas, I would say, like starting from the health and social media and patent and now the grants. It's good to see like you have been covering a different aspect of what we don't know. Yeah, thank you very much. All the best, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tendril. So I'd like to first call upon Dr. Bharat Gurnani. So Dr. Bharat needs no introduction, but here it goes. So he's an active academician who has finished MBBS, DNB, FCRS, FICO, FICO, and whatnot. So he was in Arvind Pondy doing his DNB as well as his fellowship in cornea, and he has published more than 340 peer-reviewed articles and he has reviewed over 500 papers. And he has won more than 50 awards in national and international conferences, including the best paper in Kenya, AO's International Heroes, the ACOIN Award, many IGO awards, and AO's Writing Competition Awards. So over to you, Bharat, to share your views on how to procure the AO's grants, which is the much anticipated one, as we have the deadline of April 30, which is still 5 more days from now. Over to you to share the tips and tricks of it.
I'll share my screen. My slides are visible?
Yes, Dr. Bharat. It's
Yes,
visible.
Bharat.
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to thank Tamil Nadu Ophthalmic Association for this brilliant initiative and for giving me an opportunity to present here. And I'll thank Prasanna also for the invite. So my topic today is procuring AIS travel grants for national and international conferences. It's mainly for international conferences, and I have no financial disclosures or conflict of interest. So just to quickly sum it up, why should we, just a minute, why should we apply for travel grant? That's the main question. Slides about, yeah. So first of all, like since the travel to for these conferences and the registration is quite hefty, so it helps us to get financial support, and AIS has been kind enough to help us in this out. And it also allows us to present our work at an international platform, so it helps in professional development. And once you get to these conferences, you get an opportunity to present there. You tend to meet a lot of young or senior colleagues as well as young faculty. So you can develop a good networking opportunities there. It allows you to share your work, which has not been on the international platform. And once you go to countries like Japan, maybe US or maybe China, you tend to see how ophthalmology works there, or how the culture works there. So there's a lot of cultural exchange. And since you are meeting a lot of people, you can always collaborate, and it opens up a lot of publication opportunities as well. So once you get this and once you go and present there, it also motivates and inspire a lot of people as well as yourself to do it continuously again and again for the next, again for the few other conferences. And presenting at such an early stage at your career at an international platform which you may not have dreamt earlier, it also adds to your career milestone. So I'll just quickly, I'll just quickly categorize it. It's also given in the AIS website. So there are 3 categories of fellowships here, like category A, B, and C, and each covers 20 fellowships. And the first category, it offers a travel amount of 50K, and it allows you to travel to countries like US, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. Since the travel to these countries as well as the registration to these conferences quite financially, it's quite hefty. And in category B, like to the countries like Asia, Africa, Southeast Asia, it offers you, the AIS offers you around 25K amount. And the once you get the amount, you get the total amount. You don't get it like tax deducted, or you're like getting lesser than what is being proposed. And category C, which I don't think hardly few people may have used it earlier, I don't think so. And it offers you for the AIS conference the 10K amount. So this is self-explanatory and given on the AIS website. But the important thing to note that you have to apply for these conferences 2 months before the conference, for this travel grant 2 months before the conference period. Suppose the fellowship is, suppose the conference is in February, you have to apply at least in December, so that to get the approval. So these are the guidelines. Like you must be a ratified AIS members. For those who don't know, you have to attend at least 2 conferences to become a AIS ratified member. And you must have made presentations in the previous AIS conference, or maybe within past 3 years. Like you're applying later, maybe within past 3 years. As highlighted by Dr. Venkatesh sir, it is the age should be less than 40 as on 1st January in the year of application. And you should not have preferably attended the same conference in last 3 years, or maybe you have not applied for the grant for the same conference, so that other people can get opportunity. And you should provide a proof of acceptance, the mail proof of acceptance of the oral free paper or the poster. And the preference is usually given to the members from tier 2 or tier 3 cities, so that they can also get a chance to travel. The conference can be a national or international one. The grant has to be given, is given only to the presenting author. So if you are applying and somebody else is presenting, you may not get it. And while submitting the document, you have to just give a brief CV, so that like which place you're working and what are you presenting, all that. And important thing to note that you have to produce a NOC from all co-authors. Suppose you are presenting a work of your mentor, the data of your institute or somewhere else. So you have to get the approval from everyone, so that they should know that you are presenting that at a international platform, and endorsement from the head of the institute with the signature and stamp. So the application is not very tough, but you have to collect all these things to make it ready. So this is the AOS form, travel fellowship form. It can be downloaded easily from the AOS website, and you have to just fill in details. And the important thing, you should mention about any other grant you have got from institute or organization. In that case, you may not be offered the grant. Suppose you are traveling to APAO and you are already getting a grant there, so you other people can get opportunity for the same grant. So this has to be important. Although we don't have any experience in that, but mostly you will not be offered the grant in that period. So this is the step-by-step protocol which I had followed and maybe following for the future also. So first of all, just get your data ready or the study ready. Whichever study you want to present, it should be very good. It should be a novel study, and it should have some contents to be up to appear at international platform. Then you can go on Google and you can see the list of all international conferences. If you go and type ophthalmology international conference, you'll get a list. So you can target a particular international conference. Like suppose I'm traveling to this conference, I want to travel to this conference. Then second thing is you should get your abstract ready. The abstract is one thing which is the highlight of your paper. So it should be very good and it should sound interesting and should give good knowledge about your paper. So submit the abstract to the conference on the website. And then once the abstract is accepted, you can apply for the early bird registration. You should not miss the early bird registration, because once you miss that, the amount nearly doubles for the travel. So you just write down your estimated budget, like maybe registration charges, the travel charges, the stay charges. It may suppose comes around 1.5 lakhs or maybe 1.25 lakhs. So you can target you may get around 50. So in that case, you can decide you want to apply or not. And then you do the timely booking so that it doesn't cost you too much in the end. Then just collect all the documents, submit to AOS within the stipulated time, and obtain the approval. Once you have done this, you can go and present your work, but the travel grant will only be granted once you have appeared for the conference. You have to submit the document once you come back to India. Suppose you have to submit your presentation, you have to submit a photograph of yours presenting the participation certificate, the travel, as well as the stay documents. So once that, maybe within a month or two, you will get your reimbursement and you may be notified through your mail. So the important take-home message is why I have started this and how it has impacted. So the sole motive of this initiative was to promote presentations at international platforms, so that a lot of those people who are just think of getting opportunity to present, they should go and present there. And since travel to these countries like international, like Europe, Australia, England, is very costly, so decent travel amount is given so that students don't have to pay from their pocket. You can also apply for the same AOS International Heroes Award with the same travel grant every year. A brilliant initiative at the AOS to honor all the international heroes. And one thing which I have noticed due to this, not only the participation has increased at international level, but if you see in the last 2-3 years, the amount of people winning the awards has nearly doubled. So it's really have it's triggered the spark in everyone, and a lot of people are going and presenting, and they're finding they are also winning it. So we should, we should thank the AOS, especially Dr. Lalit Verma sir, for this brilliant initiative. So just to wrap this up, thank you one and all, and I hope this was helpful.
Thank you, Bharat sir. That was very informative and comprehensive. I now request our chairperson and co-chairperson, Dr. Venkatesh sir and Bala sir, to please give their inputs.
Nothing in specific. I think Bharat covered all the norms which are, the norms are very important sometimes, that is where it becomes competitive, because when you are trying for something like this, several people are trying. Like when I was trying for ICO, there are very few people who are trying. But nowadays, because of the awareness and the more number of residents are now doing ophthalmology, and again, the age criteria is less than 40. So you not only are competing with residents, you are also competing with fellows and consultants who are equally competent. No, but one thing which I realized is, at least going through some of these resumes for some of the grants, you don't need a very strong resume for a travel grant. You have to keep that in mind. No, if you're going to say, I've published this, I've done all this, I've got so many, then your chance will be less. So you'll have to be really careful in especially preparing your resume for some of the travel grants. But if it is a research grant, it is different, where you have to really show that you have done a great job before for you to be competent for that research grant. So here that resume should be, no, it's a very tricky resume which you have to prepare. Even if you have done so many things, maybe you'll have to downplay sometimes when you're trying for all this, whether state level or national level or international level. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think that was a pretty important hack that everyone should probably note down in their notes for today. And Bala sir, your insights, please.
Yeah, an excellent presentation, I think, is given the how to go about is for applying for grant. But I mean, even I was not aware when I was doing post-graduation that these grants are available. I don't know when this was started. But one positive thing I can understand from this is that any postgraduate who has done a good study, so and which is of international caliber, so he gets an opportunity to present because if they have the financial constraint is taken away, then it is an opportunity to showcase our research work here at a younger age itself. From that point of view, I think this will be a big boon for ophthalmologists, young ophthalmologists doing a good, genuine studies. Yeah. Good.
Thank you, sir. Susan, madam, a couple of words from you before we move on to the O panel.
Okay, so we have a vibrant question and answer corner, which we tried it out for today. So we have 5 panels in the question and answer corner. So any one of you would like to ask our chair or co-chair any questions regarding it, Dr. Mithun? So you are a very active person in AOS. Your take on this grant or any question to the senior panel here?
Thank you, Venkatesh sir, for that tip actually, because I was always wondering like how to write the CV or how to write this biography when you apply for a travel grant, because most of the time we end up boosting ourselves in this CV, and that was a very important tip which Venkatesh sir gave. Like sometimes we might have done that late. And I hope one of the speakers might throw some light on how to write a very catchy CV, especially because those are the two things which I feel are one is a resume which you send to the particular association for the travel grant, and second is basically the content of your paper. So basically, the abstract should be written in such a way that it looks very catchy and it looks very novel. And second is the CV which you put up. So I think maybe the upcoming speakers might throw some light on, because we know these norms and guidelines, like we can go to the websites and we can see all these things. But like how to actually express yourself in these CVs or abstracts are one message kind of thing. So I hope if any chair can just give some tips on how to write CV or how to make this abstract little catchy when you submit it for the conference, then it would be helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Mithun. So any other questions from the U panel, Dr. Pranesh Ravi?
Yeah, I would like to ask the panel, is the 2-month prior intimation of the submission of the grant form, is it like very strictly followed? Like how do you, like, is it the month taken or the 60-day period calculated for? Like, can anybody help me out with this?
Venkatesh sir or Bala sir, your takes?
I think you'll have to clarify through email to whoever is responsible in all India, but it's better to be early than 2 months. Okay, as simple as that. Because again, it's competitive. No, when you have so many applications, even they can take this into consideration and reject your application. And that's what happens in most of the other sessions or other meetings. Now, because whenever there is a competition, let's say that I didn't have any application to review, I will definitely consider you. But let's say that I have 50 other applications. Why should I consider somebody who are submitting late? No, it may be 24 hours, it may be 12 hours. So it's all up to the decision what the team takes, but you can always write to them and confirm before you're submitting.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. So we'll move on to the next speaker. Niranjan,
Yes, sir.
you call Dr. Madhavi ma'am for the next talk.
Next up, we have Dr. Madhavi ma'am from Arvind Eye Hospital, Tirunelveli. Madam is a consultant in the glaucoma services. So we have an elaborate CV coming up. So Madam has completed her post-graduation from Arvind Eye Hospital, her DNB and long-term fellowship in glaucoma in Arvind Eye Hospital, Tirunelveli. The CV runs long, but to keep it short, I would like to highlight on the fact that she is one of the very few people who has received 2 grants for travel. One is by the World Glaucoma Association in 2023, and the prestigious Professor Yasuo Tano Travel Grant in 2024 for the APAO conference in Bali. So I think Madam has a lot to share with us. I request you to take over the stage, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Niranjan, for the kind words. At the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Prasanna for inviting me for this webinar and the YO team and the TNOA team. So today I'll be talking and sharing about my journey on how I chanced upon these 2 travel grants, that is the APAO and the WGC travel grants. So apart from attending the prestigious career-defining conferences, travel grants also help us to visit these beautiful locales while sticking up to our budget as well. So the first travel grant which I applied was the WGC travel grant. In fact, it was not the direct application process, but I'll share you how I went about it. So the first step was submission of good quality abstracts. Like Dr. Bharat already shared, we have to have a good number of abstracts, which is also good quality. So after submission of the abstracts, an email came with acceptance and invitation to apply for travel grant. Rather than publishing it in the website, it was actually an individual email invitation which came from the WGC to apply for travel grant. Like Venkatesh sir already shared, the age criteria was under 40 years of age and economically underprivileged countries. So they had actually listed the countries also in which fitted the criteria. So apart from that, another criteria was we have to share our CV and a letter, a travel grant application letter, which should be sent by email. So these were the factors that was needed to apply for the WGC travel grant. So I'll share how I prepared the travel grant application letter. So this should include why actually we are interested to attend the particular above said conference. Apart from that, mention if you are a first time attendee, because this actually increases the chance of winning the travel grant. And then convince the travel grant committee about the need for a financial support. So this is also equally important. So the last but not the least, they have actually provided this in the email itself, how exactly your participation is going to benefit your professional goals. So this is how you build your travel grant application letter. So after sharing the travel grant application letter and the CV, I received this travel grant acceptance. So this constituted not only an amount of €1,000, but as well as a registration waiver, which was constituting around €660. So this was dispersed after attending the conference, and you have to upload the certificate. Then the travel grant will be processed and dispersed within a month's time. So that is the WGC story. But the APAO story was little different from the WGC story in that you have to actually search for the travel grant application. It was not in the, along with the abstract submission itself, you have to apply for the travel grant, not after the abstract submission. So in the website itself, there was a column called this travel grants. Many of my colleagues had actually missed this part because while submitting for the abstracts, it is simultaneously you have to apply for this travel grant. So APAO gives 2 travel grants. One is the prestigious Professor Yasuo Tano travel grant, which is given to 10 selected applicants from this Asia Pacific region, 10 from different countries, which constitutes a US dollar of 1,000. And so I was fortunate enough to win this Professor Yasuo Tano travel grant. And apart from that, one more travel grant is there, which is the WIO travel grant, which is given to residents or fellows in training. So this was given to 5 residents or fellows in training. So these are the 2 travel grants which actually APAO gave. So as I already said, for APAO, we had to apply for the travel grant along with the abstract submission, while for WGC, it was different in the fact that the application process started after the abstract was accepted. So APAO gave a funding for travel of $1,000 with the registration waiver again. And there was an invitation to attend the Congress Cultural Party and then award ceremony. So these were the abstracts I submitted. I had an instruction course as a chairperson. Then apart from that, I had 2 papers, a poster as well as a video. So I was fortunate enough to be a session chair in the APAO. And the award ceremony was where the travel grant was actually dispersed. It was highly impressive and it was a proud and humbling moment for me. So this was the president and secretary of APAO giving the travel grant award. So these travel grants and international conferences give you a good platform to present your work and also meet with stalwarts in the field. So some of the helpful tips is that start by presenting in state as well as national conferences, because you should build little bit of your CV at least before applying for these conferences. And so that helps to build your CV and as well as improve your confidence. And also send abstracts in versatile categories and not stick to just one category, because again, this increases the chance of getting the travel grant. Then the grant application letter, which I already mentioned, it plays a crucial role, I feel, in at least in some conferences. And last but not the least, check the criteria. Make sure you are eligible to apply and what are the eligibility criteria, and apply on time. So these provide a great opportunity and aid to present the scientific work. And sometimes some conferences, at least we have to search and apply, because they may be in some other websites, or you have to see the emails in detail. So if you search and apply, maybe you can also win. So last but not the least, I would like to thank my mentors who actually guided me in these travel grants, including how to write these travel grant application letters. And I'm eagerly waiting to hear from the other speakers, their story as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Madhavi. Over to Dr. Venkatesh for the comments.
Excellent, Madhavi. I think the more than attending all these conferences, getting to know people at a very early age is very important. That is how you make contacts, which really helps for a lot of collaborative work. It may be clinical, it may be research, So that is how we were able to build a lot of collaboration. To begin with, you have to fight to go to these meetings, and then you will find a way. So once you find a way, then these collaborations come into place, and these collaborations will help us to excel in whatever we are doing. That is how you can do even better research with these collaborations, which will build a future relationship, which is going to be long-lived. I always remember meeting David Chang and building a collaboration which went to another level in the last 20 years by just starting to go to these conferences with travel grants. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Dr. Bala, sir, or Susan, ma'am, any comments from you?
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Madhavi and Dr. Venkatesh. It's not only the opportunity to present your work, but also to interact with so many people and build relationship and do collaborative work. So yeah, so all these travel grants, so young ophthalmologists do not look at it as an opportunity just to present, but also build a relationship with stalwarts or the experts in that field, which will be useful in the later on in the field.
Yeah, I also want to say that there's also one more thing that going to conferences does help in, and that is to build your confidence. When you go there and you see other people also presenting and the kind of work they do, the level of work they do, what kind of surgeries they are doing, and when you kind of compare it with what is happening in our own state, country, and cities, then you get a confidence, that you can kind of compete at any level. And that, I think, really changes your outlook. your outlook towards your field changes once you start going to international conferences and once you see what others are presenting. And I think that is also as crucial as, of course, all the other things that were mentioned. Networking is fabulous. When you go abroad, you meet people, and it may not happen with one conference networking. Sometimes you have to keep attending over and over and over again, and that's when the networking really starts. You start to build contacts. People see you again and again at conferences, presenting, talking, and that's how these opportunities start to build up. So yes, I think international conferences, national conferences, going to all these conferences is vital because it keeps you active in the field also.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I've also shared in the meeting group chat regarding one such query that Dr. Pranesh was also asking, and I've also shared Venkatesh sir's, I think in 2007, sir, if I'm not wrong, one of your grants in the early stages.
Yeah, it's a WGC. Now, with 3 WGC I was able to attend. And I never mentioned the resume that I attended the previous 2. They may definitely know from their, they will definitely know, but I never mentioned that. But anyway, that may not really help, but still you'll have to be the other letter if you have shared is how one of my fellows thing was rejected because it didn't come in time, but they still offered a free registration. So even writing an email sometimes help. No, you can say that you can't afford, you have travel itself is expensive. They may waive the registration sometimes.
Yeah, I just shared it, sir. Yeah, thank you for sharing this info, sir. I think it will really.
One more thing if I can add is, please, I think all the youngsters need to note that these conference organizers also want people to attend. Okay, so they want you to come and attend. That's important. So don't feel shy about asking them. You can definitely email them and write to them your requests. And there are many, not always, but sometimes at least they'll be happy to oblige.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have one question for the panel. Like, is there any hierarchy, sir, like for the posters, instruction codes, and all this papers and videos? Like for grant application, will who is examining the grant, would they say that okay, so this person has submitted this, so he's more likely to get a grant? Is there some kind of hierarchy, like, or like irrespective of whatever we are submitting, the grant will be pushed through?
I think there will be for free paper ideally, followed by a film or a poster. If your abstract is good, usually it becomes a paper. Now, usually they ask you whether you want to do it as a paper or a poster. So depending on the value of the abstract, right? So the chance for you to get is definitely better.
So it will be the order will be paper, then video, then poster. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Maybe, I'm not sure, but paper is usually on the top. Between poster and film, it's up to them, no?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Pranesh. We also have Dr. Anujit, Dr. Arnav. Any questions you have for the panel, Venkatesh sir, Susan ma'am, or to the speaker who would want to ask something?
Not right now, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, we'll move to the third speaker of the day. So I'd like to call upon the next speaker. So the next speaker will be Dr. Apurva. So Apurva Naktode from Pondicherry Arvind. So Dr. Apurva, excuse me. So Dr. Apurva is a fellow in the Department of Cornea and Refractive Services at Arvind. She is a member of the national societies and the state societies. She has published 5 articles in PubMed Index Journal. She has presented multiple papers, and she has also won the recipient of APACRS grant. And she's also been the co-authors of many award-winning videos at the AACRS, as well as at the AAOS and many national and international symposiums. So over to you, Doctor, for the next few minutes on how you got your grant and your tips and tricks regarding the same.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Dr. Pranesh. Prasanna, sorry. Can you see my screen? Is it visible?
Not yet. It's still loading.
Now?
Yeah, now it's there.
Okay. Yeah, I'll start my talk.
You would want to get it on slide share. Dr. Apurva. So meanwhile, I would just request the next speaker to be ready. I think we are experiencing a technical glitch from Dr. Apurva's side. Anujit, are you ready, Anujit, to go?
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
So
If
much,
you
we'll just have one more time. Apurva is just sharing it once.
no issues.
Just be ready. If there is a glitch, we'll go for yours.
No problem, sir.
Sir, am I audible to you?
Yeah, you're audible, but your slides are taking a long time to load and it's not moving.
Is it? Hello.
Yeah, you're audible, doctor.
Yeah. Can you see my slides now?
Apurva, I think your signal is weak. You have to go to a different place.
Hello.
Yeah, we'll take you in the last. Yeah, just move your slides and see now.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
It's okay. We'll take you at the last.
1 second.
Maybe
I
you
just
can
stopped
go
it.
try your better signal.
Yeah.
Without much delay, we would like to call upon the next speaker, Dr. Anujit Paul. So, Dr. Anujit is a very vibrant yo who's also a very active part of our TNOA yo committee. And so he's going to share a different perspective. So he's currently a consultant at the Vitreoretinal Services at BBI Foundation. He has won the IGO Platinum Award and the TNOA Award in 2021. He has 30 index publications and he's a section editor in our Tamil Nadu Ophthalmic Journal as well. And he's very active in various national and state platforms. So he's going to share his experience on a different grant that he procured. So it's MedEngage grant. It's also the Champion of Champion grant where he was able to procure up to 1.2 lakhs. So he's going to throw a different perspective on a different type of a grant. Over to you, Dr. Anujit.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you once again. I remain indebted to TNOA for everything that it has given me. Sir, is my screen visible?
Yeah, very much, very much.
Right. Okay. So good evening, everyone. So I would like to speak to everyone about a lesser known travel grant or a research grant, as you would say it. In fact, probably the least known travel or research grant in today's webinar. So this is the MedEngage Champions of Champions 1.2 lakh research grant, which I was able to procure in the year of 2022. So this is actually a research grant as well as an academic scholarship grant that is given to undergraduates and postgraduate students by the Metropolis Healthcare Limited, which is actually a pathology-based hospital. And they have a segment called the MedEngage Nurturing Talent section. So every year there is an online registration, and via communication, via mail, we upload our details regarding our academic achievements, scholarship awards, research publications, conference presentations. And everyone who applies, if they pass the initial testing, they get a scholarship award, a cash award, and a trophy. So this is a photo from the pre-COVID times where they would actually have an award function. I fortunately or unfortunately won the award during the COVID time. So for me, it was a virtual sort of convocation for me. So this is actually the website. So as you can see here, they've, as of today's date, these are data that has just been taken 2 days before from the website. So they've given out 250 scholarship awards and a huge scholarship grant number, and they're active in over 500 cities. So if you go to their website, I myself stumbled according to their website by browsing Facebook and Instagram of all things, but they have a scholarship program, an observership program, a laboratory tour, as well as academic and research and internship research support programs. So if you go to the scholarship program, they give you details about the scholarships that one can apply for. So this is a very open scholarship for any medical student, undergraduate or postgraduate, or those just finishing their undergraduate who have not applied for post-graduation in different fields. So as you can see, students of first, second, third year, final year MBBS are given cash prizes depending upon their results in their colleges, as well as paper and poster presentations. The eligibility criteria is quite simple. You just need to provide proofs of your MBBS or MS, which should be from an Indian recognized MCI institution. And when I got the scholarship award, it was around 1.25 lakhs. But recently, yesterday on the site, I noted that they're giving even up to 2.5 or even 3 lakhs as a scholarship award. So the evaluation process is very simple. They take into consideration your academic achievements, that is proof of mark sheets from your undergraduate or postgraduate college, any record or certificates from paper or poster presentations, publications with their impact factor in PubMed index journals, and any record of any co-curricular achievements and community services that you have done. So if you happen to chance upon the website and do a thorough analysis of it, they have a jury profile which actually updates every year. The year in which I won the award, Dr. T.P. Lahane sir was incidentally one of the jury members as well. But they are usually from different fields of clinical medicine, paraclinical medicine, etc. And once you go on their website, their website portal opens in October and it takes submissions until December, and the winners are announced in March. So right now, if you go to their profile, their portal is closed, but I think in the next 2 or 3 months, they should have announcements for this year's MedEngage winners. So a couple of categories that they have is Champions of Champions, Pedagogue, Whiz Kid, Scholar Caller, the Vibrant One, and the Wordsmith. So you can get a bit of an idea from the names. Each of them represents a different aspect of it. So if you are more into case presentations, research papers, publications, you can apply for Scholar Caller or Whiz Kid. However, if you won a lot of quiz awards, or if you secured highest percentage in your MBBS exams, you can apply for Pedagogue or Champion of Champions. So discussing my story, so if I quote the criteria for Champions of Champions, it's a scholarship award given to a deserving student who has consistently delivered outstanding performance in academics, participated in poster, paper, journal research and publications, along with pursuing their interests. So Dr. Arnav Saroya, who's also a part of the panel today, he also won the Champion of Champions award the same year that I did. So what was my story? So when I got to know about this process, you apply for it directly on their website. So you need to give your basic details, the details of your mark sheet with proof of admission in your college, details of conferences and CMEs attended with photo proof, details of publications with photo proof, details of any co-curricular, extracurricular, community service activities. And there is a section where it has a letter of motivation or a testimonial way. Usually you write for around 150 to 300 words about why you feel you deserve this award in the first place. So as you can see, this mail was addressed to me on the 8th of March, 2022. So that's usually the time when the results are declared. So in the year 2022, you just get a mail saying that you won the award and you need to give your bank account details. And in about a month or so, the same amount along with your certificate is credited to you. The year that I won the award, it was unfortunately COVID time. So they had a virtual convocation ceremony, which I was invited to at the end of March. But as I showed you from the pictures before, it is something that they also take very seriously for the students that they involve. So a few weeks later, they also send you a trophy. This is the trophy that they give us. And it's actually a very interesting, application process and a very interesting way to network and communicate with the winners. We still have a WhatsApp group with all the winners that have won in the year 2022, and we keep updating each other on what's happening. And it happens every year. So if anyone's interested, they can give it a shot this year as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Najit. Venkatesh sir, your take on the grants and other platforms like MedEngage, and any of your experiences, sir, on this?
I have no idea. I have no idea. It's interesting. So I'm sure there are several, but only thing you have to also be careful of a lot of fake ones, or like your journals. There are some people who say, I saw your publication, I'm going to give you an award for that. And then they say, pay this 15,000, 25,000. And then there is a so-called meeting or a session where they give those small awards and things. No, it has become like that. Now it is like cyber crime. I see there are a lot of times, even some of my residents, they send an email, they forward to me that after seeing one of the IJO publication, no, they have given an award like a champion of publication, a champion of thesis, some crazy name, some crazy meeting. So you'll have to be really careful in that. Now, some genuine things like what Anujit presented is fine, but sometimes you can get carried away by some of these fake organizations.
Thank you, Dr. Venkatesh sir. We also had Dr. Arnav, right? You won the.
Yes, sir.
Can you share your?
Sir, I've won this MedEngage scholarship twice, sir. The first time it was during my final year when I had just come across in the ENT department. I saw a post and I thought, why not I apply for it? And I still remember, I think I got around 75,000 rupees, and I was invited to Mumbai for the convocation. I went along with my mother 2 days before the exams or something. And till the last day, till I even entered the convocation ceremony, my father was like, "Oh no, this is not happening. They're just fooling you." So first time this got, and then second time when I applied after 3 years, again he was skeptical. Ki, how can they give another scholarship worth 1.25 lakhs to you? And but I had a new set of submissions. I had a new set of reports and everything. All the certificates, and they were quite liberal to give the scholarship, and they do make sure that everything is foolproof and everything is up to the mark, and it's actually a very good scholarship to apply for during UG and post graduation. Definitely one of the best things.
Thank you, Dr. Arnav. Dr. Prakash, Dr. Maria, you have any questions from the Q&A corner to any of
Yes,
the?
I don't know if it's relevant to this, but to get this research grants, there are various bodies in India who give these research grants for a few lakhs. So what kind of research should it be? Should it be epidemiological? Should it be interventional? Because if it's interventional, then it's adding something, or it's giving a polarizing opinion whether it's working or not. And presumably that's what I've been thinking, because if it's interventional, then they'll be supporting, or they'll be, paying for the tests so that, you can put the grant to good use. But is there any other facet where of this type of research where this grants can be used? Because I'm from when I was in SN, a lot of my consultants have got grants. So would the panel throw some light on this, please?
I think the research grant is entirely a different topic. There are several organizations, including your Directorate of Science and Technology to ICMR and all that, where they have very clear criteria of what they are going to. It may be a genetic work or a proteomics, or it may be clinical research. Depending on that, it may be sometimes starting from 5 lakhs to even 50 lakhs or 1 crore. So these grants, they can change from place to place, and also their main area of focus. So if you're looking at smaller research grants, there are several institutions and organizations. Even ASCRS has got a research grant. For several years, they give you $5,000. If I had got this grant a decade back to do research on comparing manual small incision, phaco versus SICS in white cataracts. And now the only thing was they wanted me to submit for JCRS, because it was an ACR. Fortunately, it got accepted in JCRS also. So there are some organizations like this who offer clinical research grants. But mostly, if you take all those big organizations, it's for mostly cutting edge or basic science research. And you'll have to really find some small organizations like this for your clinical research grants.
So basically, you need to do something informative or something path-breaking. So that's where you get more.
Definitely, yes. No, that's where you need a strong resume also. No, you need to show that you have done several work related to that, at least few papers. And so that builds that strong resume to get those bigger grants.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Vivek.
For Anujit. So is this meant only for graduates, or like it's only for residents, or can young ophthalmologists or consultants apply for the same?
So, sir, it's basically for undergraduates and postgraduates, but even maybe a year after your post-graduation, if in the academic year in which they've requested for it, you want something, you may give it a try. So for wordsmith and pedagogue and all that, they wanted your mark sheets and things like that proof of multiple paper presentations or publications. For something which I or Arnav applied for, you needed to show some sort of social work and charity work as well to show an all-round effort. But as far as your question goes, I think you can apply for it maximum till your residency, or maybe during your fellowship as well, if you can submit your fellowship documents to show that you're still a student somewhere in the learning phase of your life in some sort of college or something like that.
Any other questions from anybody? Any of
I have a
the
question.
Dr.
As a resident who is interested to present their work, a paper in an international conference, like what are the key things should be kept in mind for it, so that it gets a place in an international conference? Because at a resident level or an early stage, innovative techniques is a little bit hard. So what should be kept in mind?
Anything, any basic work you have done, even your thesis, if you have done properly and you have a good abstract, reasonably good, like what I said, comparing phaco and small incision in a white cataract. It can be brown cataract or black cataracts. No, just for an example, I'm saying, if you do any good work, you've done that thesis properly, your methodology is proper, your results are viable, your conclusion is also interesting, then definitely there is a chance for it to get accepted in an international conference. So basically they're looking at people's presentation and people attending those meetings. So you definitely, when you have a quality abstract like this, of whatever work you have done, you don't have to do cutting edge, you don't have to do innovative things. You have to do something which is now appropriate for that. It's like a ARS, it may be cataract related. APAO, you can't take glaucoma or post-vitreoretinal abstract there. So it's only, it has to be appropriate for that particular meeting. And I'm sure they'll definitely consider. Not always you have to think of cutting edge things to happen there.
Thank you, Venkatesh sir, and thank you to the OYO question and answer corner for asking these questions, which will benefit the young ophthalmologists. So we'll move to the next speaker. So next we have Dr. Akshay. So Dr. Akshay is going to talk on his story, the $5,000 grant. And he's also going to share certain guidelines which are very important on how to actually procure it and how to complete getting the grant. So Dr. Akshay, he considers himself a budding social change agent, and he's currently on his journey to eliminate needless blindness. So he's currently a resident too, and there he is. His experiences. He's served as a medical officer. He's also won few awards. Dr. David Hunter Chevek Award in 2023 at the Global Ophthalmology Summit, and also the TNOA Coimbatore Ophthalmic Association Best Poster Award in the recently concluded TNOA at Trichy. So over to you, Dr. Akshay, to share your views on this Global Conclave $5,000 grant.
Thank you, sir, for the kind introduction. I'll be sharing my slides. I hope my slides are visible.
Yes, Dr. Akshay.
Yes, once again, thank you, Tamil Nadu Ophthalmic Association, for this opportunity. I'll be sharing a short story how I procured a grant of $5,000 from Global Ophthalmology Summit last year. So before I proceed, I'd like to thank also Dr. Govindappa Venkateswamy. Lovingly we call him as Dr. V, because if I'm taking ophthalmology today and if I'm going to serve the community tomorrow, it'll be because of him, and I'll dedicate this journey to him. So yes, talking about Global Ophthalmology Summit, how did I come to know about this? So we have a lot of international delegates who visit Arvinda Hospital, Pondicherry on a regular basis as an observer. So last year, one such fellow, the Global Ophthalmology fellow named Kanwal Singh, he visited Arvinda Hospital, and we had a brief discussion about how we can eliminate needless blindness, how we can work on the global front. So he said that, why don't you apply for a Global Ophthalmology Summit? It happens every year in USA. So this summit is based papers and it's mainly for collaboration, sharing knowledge, sharing skills, and give you a platform where you can present on a larger scale about how you can eliminate needless blindness, how you can work for the population which is underserved and underprivileged. So for this, when I visited their website, I saw that we have to submit an abstract, and for receiving this David Hunter Chevik MD Award for Global Ophthalmology. So basically, David Hunter Chevik, doctor, he is a medical director of Orbis Flying Eye Hospital. So this award, if you can see in the third paragraph, they have written this award and accompanying travel grant will be presented to an outstanding ophthalmology resident or fellow that has shown extraordinary promise to contribute towards global ophthalmology. So then I submitted the abstract, and after submitting the abstract, there was a column that said that if you want to apply for the travel grant of $5,000, you need to submit in brief about your action plan for the future and global ophthalmology. So since I'm working with this vision since very long time, so I had an action plan and I submitted that in short. So within few weeks, I received this mail saying that you have received 5,000 travel grant and confirm your participation. But unfortunately, the US visa waiting time was 1 year. So the conference was in next 2 months. So I had applied for the visa, but so this is again the invitation letter which I got from them. I applied for the visa, but the waiting period was 1 year. So I tried to expedite the visa on emergency basis, but twice the application was declined. Even the Global Ophthalmology Summit people tried talking with the US Embassy in Chennai, but still even that efforts were not successful. So even the Global Ophthalmology Summit felt bad. So they converted my award into the poster category award, and as you can see in the image, they have uploaded recently on their website confirming that my award was they have transferred the award from the poster paper to virtual poster award, and the next deserving candidate was award given the award. But the organization was kind enough that they sent me the award by post. So I received 1 month after this conference, and I'm very grateful and privileged, and I also feel blessed that I received this award from the hands of our chairman, who is on the right to me, and left our chief medical officer, Dr. Venkatesh sir. These two, I consider them as very strong mentors in my life, and I'm very grateful to them for everything. And on the right, you can see the beautiful award of Made by Glass. So yeah, so I'd like to end with a question to everyone that I feel privileged that I'm educated. I'm into an ophthalmology field, and I'm a doctor by profession. But I am doctor today because 3 lakh people did not give exam because of they not know, because there was no accessibility to education, good books, good examinations. So my responsibility, I always ask to myself, how can I give back to the society? So I'll also like to ask everyone that at the end of the day, you all are great doctors. You'll become pioneers in ophthalmology, but how can you give back to the society? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Akshay, for this succinct and sweet talk, and as well as throwing your inputs on how to get this Global Conclave $5,000 grant. Venkatesh sir, your views before we go to the other panel.
We also had no idea until we had that global ophthalmology fellow visiting us, who said, "Why don't you try this?" I know about this summit, which is now a kind of organization which is trying to bring in all the international NGOs who are working in eye care into a single platform to share ideas, to share how they do international work and how they do work to eradicate needless blindness. But I never aware of this particular thing. But because of that awareness, Akshay he's got a dream project. He's already started building a hospital in his hometown. Now, I don't think any resident would have done that before. It's not a clinic or a thing. He's now having a dream of building a huge system like Aravind back in his state in Maharashtra. So he had put up his ideas and thoughts into that application form, which they were forced to give him that award, because I met Hunter recently during ASCRS, and he was so happy to have visionary residents like Akshay. Now it's very, very rare to see somebody like him. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Venkatesh sir. Any questions from our senior panel, Bala sir, Susan ma'am?
Yeah, I mean, more than that, as Dr. Venkatesh sir was saying, to see a visionary resident, it's very, very, very rare. So hats off to you and wish you all the best, Akshay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Your question and answer corner, Dr. Pranesh, Dr. Mithun, Dr. Vivek, I think you're all aspirant yours. Any questions to any of the senior panel regarding the non-ophthalmic grants, like a global conclave? Susan ma'am, your comments, ma'am.
I think what we learned from the story is that you always need to keep your eyes and ears open. You need to talk to people, keep your eyes and ears open, make notes when you hear something different. And don't think that you won't get it, or, why should I apply? There's so many people applying. What are the chances of me getting? That kind of thinking is what generally pulls most people down, because then you end up not doing it. So apply and there's nothing lost. And another thing I'll say is, when you're writing these abstracts, please take help from someone who's senior, and most seniors will be happy to help you, because it'll make a difference in the quality of your abstract. Take some inputs from people who've written lots of papers and things like that, and that will help for these things to get accepted. So never hesitate in asking for help either.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your valuable inputs. Any question or any comments from Dr. Madhavi ma'am regarding these kind of grants? I think you have been more procuring ophthalmic grants. What is your take on? Have you tried any non-ophthalmic or a global conclave grant?
This is something really new to me. But as Susan ma'am pointed out, we should really keep our eyes open and search for these grants. And also, when I was applying for the APAO travel grant, I was really skeptical, maybe like 1 in 10, what are my chances? So initially I was kind of skeptical, but as madam rightly pointed out, there is nothing to lose. We can always apply and see. There are chances of winning also. So don't just be confident and apply. That is the main point, I think.
And I think please also remember that even if you don't get the grant, you still got the experience, from writing an abstract, a good quality abstract. So that's also worth something for your future. You'll get into the habit of scientific writing, which is great for building your career.
Thank you. Thank you, Venkatesh sir. Thank you, Susan ma'am. If there are not any more questions or comments from the UO panel, I think Apurva, I think we are missing her. I think she'll join us soon.
She's there.
She's come back. Apurva, you want to go check your connection?
Yes, sir. Yeah, my connection is better now. Sorry
Yes,
for the technical problem.
We'll have the last talk and followed by the keynote perspective. Over to you, Dr. Apurva.
Yeah, can you see my slides? Please confirm. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Apurva Nagtode. I am currently a Cornea Fellow at Arvind Pondicherry. So for me, travel grants were like a dream only, because I didn't think that I'll ever apply for a travel grant, forget getting a travel grant, because my vision was very small at the starting. So presenting at national and state conferences was my vision was limited to. So I just applied for the travel grants without any this thing, to get a reply for it or winning the grant. But then I was fortunate enough to apply, and then I won the grant also. So yeah, as ma'am said, that we should always try before going, before deciding that we won't be getting any grant. So travel is like going to one place, from one place to another. And then grants are what money, sum of money that the organization will give for a special purpose like a study or research grant. So together it makes a travel grant. So in my presentation, I might be repeating a lot of points that are already being shared by the previous speaker. So please forgive me for that. So these are some conferences that we have already discussed today, that the travel grants are already out there. I'm sure there are many more conferences that are providing the travel grants, which we are not aware of. So I'd also like to get educated about them in the future. When we are coming and looking forward to the advantages that we get about the from the travel grants, I just came up with a small acronym that is transcript. So in transcript, what we are looking forward is for travel opportunities. With the travel grants, we get a lot of travel opportunities to go visit different countries, different states, their culture also we get to know. So that is one point that we come to know we get from the travel grant. Another thing is we also get to know about the recent advances that are there in the field of ophthalmology currently. So we'll also be able to keep on par with everybody else that is happening. We should be knowing what is happening in the world. That is one thing that we would get the chance of if we are applying for the grant. Then another thing is to meet various academic scholars, and then to imbibe their knowledge and wisdom, and then know about their thinking process also, because they are in this field for so many years. So we get to learn so much with when we are talking to them in the conferences. Then we come to know about many new and innovative minds that are there and ideas that are already there happening in the world. So when we are thinking about what to do new, so these conferences will be a very new and fresh thing to look forward to understand what is happening in the field of ophthalmology. And the most important thing that we can't forget is save money. We are all saving a lot of money when we are applying for travel grants and winning them as well. We're making a lot of contacts, which, as already said before by previous speakers, will be useful for making contacts and to collaborate with them for publication and studies, and then to make it take them ahead. So another thing is that we come to know about many research work ideas that are already there. Now, when the people are publishing from the other centers and the other countries, we also know what is happening new in their countries, and we can take some ideas and we can come back to our country and practice the same ideas or similar ones. So it opens our mind also in that aspect. We get a great chance to present our own work at the conference, and it is another very good platform to present your work and then get reviews on the spot. So if at all the conferences, I'm sure they have a policy of we can't present a already published article. So if you are going to make any changes, so with the reviewers also we will get a on-spot review from the judges and from the participants if they have any doubts. And then, as already been mentioned, to attract young talents, like as we all know that all the grants are being mostly given to the ophthalmologists that are less than 40 years of age. So might as well make use of us being young, right? So to submit a travel grant, what I think is required is a strong abstract and a strong CV. So for a strong abstract, I think that any innovative idea, any strong paper, I think the randomized controlled trial is the most strongest paper that is there available. So, and any innovative ideas, anything that is happening new in the ophthalmology platform right now, I think artificial intelligence is another new thing that is happening. So anything related to that, any innovations, anything you can submit, I think, for the strong abstracts. And strong CV, it might be spectacle, as Venkatesh sir said as well, because at the time that I applied for the grant, I didn't have a strong CV, but I still got it. So yeah, maybe. For the strong abstract, there was a discussion regarding which one is better, paper, poster, or video. So while I submitted, I by mistakenly submitted both video and paper, and then they asked me to choose between the two. Like you can only submit one abstract for your grant. So then I don't know, but I went with my video, which was an innovative video. So I think because of that, maybe I got a grant. So maybe that is why I think that innovation stands a very strong ground when we are submitting for a grant. So then I got my acceptance letter on 5th January, and then they told me all the needed information that was, all the needed data that was required for me to plan for the conference. And they asked for my bank account number and all the bank details, and telling that they'll give me the money after the conference, which is there with most of the conferences. No, I don't think any conference gives the money before the before attending the conference. As well, as we heard that many conferences are asking for the proof of attendance also. So that is also one thing. And then when I was registering as a non-member for APA-CRS, which was the price for which was 290. But my travel grant only covered 200 amount of registration waiver. So they were very kind enough to give me that $90 back, which they were not supposed to. They would have charged me for it because I was a non-member. And while applying for the grant also, I was very skeptical that because of I'm a non-member, will they reject my grant or will they do anything like that? But nothing like that happened. And their website and their email ID, whichever they gave to communicate with them, they were so apt and so on point that whenever I used to mail them, they used to give me the response within 6 to 8 hours. So I have never seen any delay with the response. So that is one very good thing that I saw with the conference. So these are a few things that I attended for the conference. So at the end, all we are waiting for is the refund. So I got my refund after 1 month, full refund I got, and yeah, then that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Apurva. Venkatesh sir, your comments before we go to the your panel.
Nothing interesting because Apurva is here. I want to say that Apurva is my filmmaker. If you want to know how I've been winning awards, the credit goes to Apurva.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Venkatesh sir. Susan ma'am, sir, any comments on your comments or any questions from the OYO corner? Dr. Pranesh, Dr. Maria, Dr. Vivek, Dr. Mithun, you want to share anything?
Just want to share that I have also received an APA-CRS grant and during the COVID times. So actually, they were actually kind enough to carry over the grant to 2022. So actually, I have applied in 2020 and meeting became virtual. But they were actually kind enough to carry over all the grants which were accepted in 2020 to 2022. And like Apurva said, actually the way of handling is very straightforward. Like you don't even have to share the stay details or anything. I think just the mere participation certificate is enough for the reimbursement. And APA-CRS is one society, I think, where all the ophthalmologists can try submitting an abstract, and when it is a specialty association, the chances of getting accepted because the applicants will definitely come down. And I have also submitted something like an surgical procedure as a paper. I think it's mainly the content of the paper and the category may not matter much. Of the abstract is the category it is in, it might play a role. Thank you.
Your voice is breaking. Your voice is not audible with the headset. Maybe you can try the speakers.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Yeah. So the last, moving on to the last segment, I would like to call upon Niranjan to introduce the international perspective speaker. So, Niranjan, over to you to call upon the international perspective IO. And we have beyond travel grants and beyond the routine grants, we have Dr. Tendril to throw much perspective on the other facets of the Born Voyage scholar. So over to you, Niranjan, to call upon that.
Thank you, sir. So it is indeed my honor and privilege to introduce the keynote speaker for today. So, ma'am, Dr. Tendril Velmurugan, she's done her MBBS from Government Vellore Medical College and MS from Tirunelveli Medical College and Hospital. And she's the recipient of the famous Kumarasamy Gold Medal for securing the university top rank. And she's completed her FICO, DNB, and MRCS as well. She's won multiple quizzes and published papers in peer-reviewed index journals. And she's received the Global Clinical Scholar Research Training from Harvard Medical School and currently working as a postdoctoral research associate at University of Virginia. We are very happy and glad to have you, ma'am. So over to you for sharing your talk for today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Niranjan. First of all, I'd like to extend my thanks for Dr. Nirmal sir for this wonderful opportunity, and also Dr. Prasanna sir for hosting us so well, everybody. And I'm indeed humbled to share my experience in front of other panel members. Okay, this is just to show a few insights on the US research fellowships. I have divided the talk into three main topics, like why and how and what. Like why you need to do this and how to do this and what comes after this. We all know the why part, like it not only helps with our professional growth, it also helps in like future global collaborations, networking opportunities through which we can look for other opportunities, and also you can be a part of contribution to the advancing knowledge. It definitely shifts our perspectives, as ma'am said, like you will be a better person, better confident person after this. Before going to that, we need to understand the type of research which is happening here. It could be either clinical or basic science. There's something called translational research, which can act as a bridge between the basic science and the clinical research. So we need to understand your long-term career goals and your interest, your skill set, and then you can choose your path. In clinical research, we all know like it's about directly influencing the patient care, and you can be a part of the clinical trial, and it could be either short-term or long-term. It results in more publications than the basic science because of the availability of the large patient cohort. Whereas in basic science, it mainly deals with fundamental understanding and breakthroughs in disease mechanisms. It's usually long term because there's no way in few weeks or months you're going to find a new disease pathway or something really breakthroughing. So though it's a few publications, but it's very highly impactful in the basic science research. And okay, how to get this? You all know this, like you have to find your specialty of interest. Like you have to be fixed to a particular specialty. I mean, it's okay if you have not done a clinical fellowship in India, but you need to be at least dedicated yourself to a particular specialty, say for example, cornea or retina, because there's no way you can apply same email to every specialty. And then you have to find your mentor. You have to have as much as publications you can. And it's good if you could attend national or international conference, and through which you can find your mentor, and then you can email them. If not, if you would have not got an opportunity to attend the international presentations, it's okay. There are some other ways in which also you can apply to this. You can just Google your college of interest, say for example, Stanford or something like that, and search for the job openings in that. Like look for postdoctoral opportunities, and then they'll be having a tailored application you can download and fill and then submit it. Submit it, of course, along with your CV. Or else, if you could not find any job openings, it's okay. You can just use the Google, and how you can do is, for example, first, what I've done is I've done by state. For example, in Texas, I've searched like ophthalmology research, like for retina, and in Texas, like I've used the keywords, and then the Google will give you the list of the universities which is having the retina research. And then you can open a college ID, and then you can find your PI, the principal investigator, and you can see whether their research interests you, and note down their email, and then send them a customized email. Of course, you can also sign up for ERVO job alerts or LinkedIn job alerts. Also, there are other structured fellowship options through which you can apply. They are called ICO and IOFF, which I have little experience, but many people have done through this also. Okay, so the things needed are strong CV, well-crafted LOR, and a clear cover letter and a professional email. So strong CV, like we all know if CV should be strong. More than strong, I feel like it needs to be more clear. So these can be the key elements of a CV. Like it needs to have name, affiliation, email address, phone number, your qualifications in the order, and your extra examination certifications, things you have achieved, your clinical experience, your publications, press mentions if you have any, and also your professional memberships, of course, and volunteering. It could be of anything. It could be anything small, like if you volunteer for COVID or something like that, or any camps, iCamps, and also your personal interest and references. This is an important part. You need to mention at least 3 references from your home country with the name, affiliation, and the contact information, because sometimes after the interview, they tend to contact the people who have given your LORs to verify about you. You know, this is just of one example which how a CV can look like. On the top, you have to write your name and then your affiliation, and email, phone number, address. It's optional. If you want, you can put your photographs. And then the educational qualification with the most recent degree on the top. See, like the most recent degree should be on the top, followed by the next years. And your examinations, your achievements, everything should be in the order. And next comes a cover letter. The cover letter, how I would describe you is, for example, you tend to meet someone, like you get to meet someone maybe over a coffee or someone near the elevator or something. You only got some 2 to 3 minutes to explain about yourself. You know, unlike a CV, cover letter is just an highlighted version of the CV. It should not be like, I have done my MBBS in this year. You don't need to mention everything. You can mention like the structure of a cover letter should be like, on the top, you should have your contact information and then to whom you're addressing, followed by the purpose, like saying, hi, Dr. So-and-so. I'm highly interested in this position because, and then your qualification in the next paragraph could be, and your character, it's like how you are, like it could be resilient or I can adapt to different work environment or something like that. And then your achievement, only the highlighted version of your achievement publications, and how you contributed to a particular subspecialty. If it's a clinical fellowship which you have done in that specialty, or the number of publications, or it could be anything like you're just more interested in that. You could even mention that. And also, it's good to do a little bit of research about that institute, like the number of research which is happening in their institute, and then you can write about that. So because of these research which are happening in your institute, I'm more interested in applying to this position, something like that. It should be more personalized. So after writing the contact information, it should be something like that. Like I'm writing to express my strong interest, and why, because what you have done and your key highlights of your achievements. Okay, next comes the email. First, we need not have a professional, or at least you need to have a casual email address, nothing fancy like sweetie or something like that. And it need to have a proper subject. Why? Because for them to be able to open your email, the subject should be very proper. For example, like seeking opportunities for research fellowship or research fellowship application, something like that. And the email should be even crispier than the cover letter. And you can start by politely greeting, say, hi, doctor, and then say after greeting, you have to introduce yourself briefly, and only 2 to 3 lines about your highlights and few lines about why you're interested, what you have done. And it's important to mention, if you're willing to work unpaid, they're more easier to get than the paid positions. Like, though there are many paid positions in the US, unpaid is comparatively easier. And then if you can politely ask for if they need any additional information, and then thank them. Okay, after sending an email, what to do? And also, please don't send the same email to everyone, like at least not everyone in the same institute. Like you have to customize according to their needs. Okay, what to do after applying? We have to just wait. Why, like for how long we have to wait? That's highly subjective. I would say at least we have to wait for at least for 2 weeks, because they'll be getting tons and tons of emails every day for the job application and also for other personal matters. So there's high chance that your email would have got like buried in the flood of their emails. So you can, like, when we look out for an opportunity, like we really want to be known, right? So you can politely send them a second email just by knocking, like, hey, I'm here, like this is just a follow-up email. I've applied like a couple of weeks back for this. I'm really interested. The email should show your enthusiasm for that position, okay? But more than like 1 or 2 follow-up emails, I would not advise you to disturb them often, just like banging or intruder. Like, don't send too many emails to them. They're not probably interested, or they'll not reply for that. Okay, usually most of them do not reply, but you'll get few replies saying like they don't have a position. It could be of anything, because at this position they would not have job opening, or they would not have any funding to support to pay you, or some are good enough to circulate our CV to some of their colleagues for another opportunity. And this is one of the best emails I've ever got. So I've been scheduled an interview, and then I've been selected for this position. This is my current job, and this also happens. Okay, how you should prepare yourself for the interview. You have to first research about the institution. This is a very important point. And then you have to be able to tell what you have written in the CV. So first just review what you have submitted to them, and be prepared to answer for the common practical questions. Nobody's going to ask you like how you see yourself after 5 years. Nobody asks that. But like practical questions like what are your long-term career goals? Like how you're interested in this, why we should hire you, and even some questions like how we can trust you will give your 100%, something like that. And we have to be confident and humble, like it's like striking a balance between both. Like you should be confident enough to tell what all you have achieved, and at the same time we need to be humble and cool and be honest. Okay, after the interview, what comes next? After the interview, you'll finish your research fellowship here. It could be of anything like clinical or basic science. After that, at this point, we can decide to go back to our home country and implement what all we have learned here. Of course, according to our patient needs, tailored differently. Or you decide to stay here. People have taken like both the paths. I know personally, like they have successful in both the paths. It's totally personal. It's our personal wish to choose the path. But if you choose to stay in US, you can consider two paths, the clinical or the research path. If you have to treat a patient in US, we have to complete 3 steps of USMLE, followed by after this is the mandatory part, the completing the USMLE, and followed by 4 years of residency. Ophthalmology residency is 4 years, and this clinical fellowship is optional if you have completed the residency. Or you can complete 3 steps of USMLE, and you can apply for clinical fellowships. Though with, I think 3 to 5 years of clinical fellowship, you will be both certified in some of the states, not many, but they are very tough to get into without the residency. And then it's very optional if you want to do the residency. And there's also one more path called research path. Like if you want to continue a career here as a researcher, you first join here as a postdoc, and then advance yourself to a research scientist, senior research scientist, and then assistant, associate, and so on. So yeah, to summarize, you have to find your subspecialty of interest. You can choose between the basic science or clinical, and then find your mentor. There are also other modes in which you can apply, and university website or personal email. You need to have a clear CV, well-structured LOR, and a highlighted cover letter, and an enthusiastic email. And after that, just wait for it. So this is my first experience in US as a clinical research trainee and in Harvard Medical School. They are my whole cohort, and they are my team members. And this year I moved to Virginia for my first job in US as a postdoc at the University of Virginia. So I like to conclude this talk by just saying, like, as long as we are out of our comfort zone, pushing our own limits, it's going to be hard and it's going to be messy, but don't worry, it's going to be beautiful and gorgeous in the end. And if it's not gorgeous, it's definitely not the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the brief and elaborate description of your journey in the US with your research plans. I would like to request Venkatesh sir to share a few words on this area.
It's a tough journey. No, not many take that path. Congratulations to Tendril for taking that path, and now she's a postdoctoral, and I'm sure there is still a long way to go. No, it's not an easy journey, but a lot of time and dedication and passion should be there to kind of get into that, because many of the time we get into the rat race and then we are happy with what we are doing sometimes, but going out of the way, thinking out of the box and going out of the comfort zone to do such kind of a work is not, unless there is some other motivation, and like somebody is forcing, or you have a hubby who is settled down there, you want to settle down. So people go for various reasons, but going as a passion and doing this is something really interesting. Congratulations and all the best, Dr. Tendral, for your future. And maybe in the future, maybe we will be collaborating in the future for some good work, and we are looking forward for that.
Thank you very much, sir. Sure thing.
Thank you, Venkatesh sir, for those kind words. Bala sir, Susan madam, if you could share a few words before we move to the YO panel.
I think Tendral gave a very good presentation, especially about how to approach, someone for a position, and it need not necessarily be for a research position. It could also be for lots of other things. You could just want to go there and do a short observership. You could want to go there and do a fellowship, something or the other, It's a beautiful way, and I think she explained very, very beautifully how you can approach a person and how many times you can approach a person. How I love the way her slides were actually showing examples. It was really very well done. I suppose we are reaching the end of the program. So there's probably one more thing that I'd like to share for all the young ophthalmologists out there. Never be hesitant in approaching seniors. Okay, don't do that, because many times seniors also want to work with juniors, with especially passionate juniors, and it's nice to see the passion there, because then you know that the work will be getting done, right? So that's important. The second thing I'd like to say is with all the other grants that were being mentioned, there's a society called International Society of Refractive Surgery, and I'm sure many of you have heard about it. It was affiliated with the American Academy of Ophthalmology earlier, and now it's completely independent. And I am happy to say I'm the secretary of ISRS. And it's a very well-known, because it is the first society where refractive surgery had a specialty society for itself. And it is now, in a place where it's looking for young ophthalmologists. And I'm sure if some of you are passionate enough, you can get leadership roles there. So that's a good society to look out for, because when the society is growing, that's the time that you can also grow with the society. And this is a society which where all the innovation of as far as refractive surgery actually originated. So you have names like people who actually discovered LASIK, who did the first PRK, who did the first. These are all the members there. And also you have an ISRS externship, which is there, where you can actually be trained for refractive surgery in different chosen societies around hospitals around the world. Sometimes you have an option of giving your own thing also. I don't remember exactly what the grant is and all those details, but I'm sure if you write an email, you will be able to find out. So that's another grant which you people may not be aware of, but which is available.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the added tip on ISRS as well.
Yeah.
Bala sir.
Yeah. Congratulations, Dr. Tendral. It was not easy to get into research in the US. My one question to you is, suppose if somebody gets into the research as you have done, and later on wants to get back into clinical path, like how easy it is, how difficult it is, and is it an advantage since you already got into research, you have quite a few publications, your CV is strong. So has anybody done it?
Yeah, thank you for this question, doctor. Yes, there are so many people have done this, and mostly like maybe for to continue here as a clinical researcher only, they'll start applying for the research position. It goes vice versa. And it's easy. I won't say it's easy, because it's highly time consuming, because after joining the research, you'll barely get time to study to clear the exams, like 3 USMLE exams. And yeah, but I would say like you have to give it like 1 or 2 years before you apply for residency. And in research, you can of course network, and if you can try to apply in the same university, that would be great.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the question. Any questions from the YO panel before I hand over to Prasanna, sir?
Would passing USMLE before applying for this research positions have any improvement, or like get you a better research job passing the MLE before? No, I've just heard that passing MLE would get you some surgical exposure and things like that. Just asking.
Okay. But it is not essential, like, or it is not mandatory that you have to do 3 steps of USMLE before you apply for a research fellowship. But it definitely gives an extra edge. But I don't understand the part about the surgical thing. Can you repeat your question?
No, because I've heard that once you do complete a USMLE, I've known a few consultants who have done it, so that they're more they'll be more open to visiting OTs and all the stuff. And you're not going to operate, obviously, because until or unless you finish your residency, you're not going to touch a patient. But I'm just saying, would that give an extra edge in getting fellowships of that sort? Or
Yeah, I got the question. So once you got into the clinical research fellowship, you can, if the university permits, you can just observe like what they are doing in the operation theater. The USMLE exam is before you apply for the research fellowship. Like that gives an extra advantage for them to be able to consider your application, I can say. But there are many people who have got into the research position even without the USMLE. I don't think that's essential.
And the residency is usually not waived off, right? So based upon experience, possibly you can work as a consultant in a hospital if the hospital allows you to, but you will not be able to practice throughout all the states in the US. Correct?
No, that's like even if you have to work as a consultant without the residency, you have to be in clinical fellowship for at least 2 to 5 years. And very few states, less than 5 states, they allow you to be a board certified one. And it's extremely competitive. For 5 years, you can either rather go for residency. I would say that's a safer option if you have longer plans to stay in US.
But residency is difficult to get now. There's a lot of
Yeah, even clinical fellowship is more difficult to get because there will be American graduates who will be applying it after residency, Unlike our country, yeah, they'll be completing their residency and then they'll apply for a clinical fellowship. Because they would have undergone more rigorous training than us. Because they will do something called undergrad after 12th grade, for 4 years, and then medical school for 4 years, I think, and then they'll apply for residency. Yeah. Both the paths are equally competitive.
No, is there any competitive edge doing research and then applying for residency or the fellowship research and residency? Which order would be the more better one to go into clinical?
Clinical means you practicing in US as an ophthalmologist?
Becoming a practitioner.
Okay. So I would say first you have to join here as a researcher, and then with the USMLE you can apply for clinical fellowships. But the things like the hardcore surgical fellowships like cornea, glaucoma, retina, like vitreoretina, they are tough to get into. But medical fellowships like neuro-ophthal, pediatric ophthal, they are little bit easier to get into. Through connections, after getting into here, you can of course apply for residency if you have longer term planning of staying here.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for those insights. Over to you, Prasanna, sir.
Thank you, Niranjan. Any other? We'll have a quick closing comment from the 3 senior ophthalmology panel, Venkatesh sir, Bala sir, and Susan ma'am, to share their insights on this session, followed by a virtual certificate distribution, which is planned by our President Nirmal sir. So over to you, Venkatesh sir, for your closing comment.
Thank you, Prasanna. A brilliant session again. I'm sure a lot of people would benefit from the recorded version also, as I said before. But I've shared a few documents. I'm sure you have shared that. There are several societies like what Dr. Susan was highlighting. One was the electroretinogram. Now, one of our retina consultants got a travel grant. So there are niche areas or particularly subspecialties or areas which are really out of the box. If you're doing that kind of a work, if you have an abstract, you can try those travel grants because that again helps you to travel and also build that collaboration. So you have to be lookout. One last piece of advice before I close is sometimes now we are flooded by emails. You may unsubscribe some emails, but it will be good to subscribe some of these societies because that's when you get these alerts, right? When you subscribe to APACRS or APAO or AAOC or whatever, no, then only you get these email alerts, which gives you the deadline for some of these grants, because this is a fast world. Things happen very quick here. Sometimes they may give you a week or 2 weeks notification. So if you are subscribing these emails, I'm sure it bounces. I mean, you have several emails, but still it's good to have those emails if you're really interested to know about these grants, so that you never miss those dates and deadlines. And more importantly, we have to keep whatever work we are going to do well in advance. You have a good abstract, good movie or a poster or whatever it is, so that you can immediately go and submit and then try some of these grants for attending what we have been talking now. Yeah.
Over to Bala sir for your closing comments, sir.
Yeah, an excellent session, definitely useful for all postgraduates, like if you want to apply for travel grants, how to go about. And I think most of the talks have covered travel grants for attending conference and presenting papers, and then one talk by Dr. Tendril about research fellowship. My one suggestion would be for, for another webinar on overseas clinical fellowships, because a lot of fellowships which are quite available in UK, Singapore, Australia, where you can directly go from here, and especially for people who do not have long-term plans. Like that's the route I took. So, there are quite a lot of fellowships where you can learn and then come back also. So that will be quite useful. You can get similar, like as you got people who have already got travel grants and share their experience. You can ask youngsters who have gone recently. Like I went about 23 years back. But people have gone recently and share their experience. And then that route can be used by the others also. Because I still remember I went in a different route. I went as a visiting specialist registrar to Edinburgh, and then did my fellowships. And 2 years down the line, from SN, they came directly for a VR fellowship, which was not done before, like Dr. Sriram, then Kashi, and everybody. So unless you know that these things are available, it's difficult. So especially with such good webinars where you organize for travel grants, I think you can consider for clinical fellowships. That would be my request. Again, an excellent session. Thank you.
Susan, ma'am, over to you for your closing comment now.
Yeah, I think I'll say probably two things. One is, the networking. For networking, remember that you don't necessarily have to travel abroad. There are a lot of good conferences that happen where a lot of international faculties come to India. And it's nice to go and listen to their talks and, engage with them on maybe some discussion, something that you did not understand or something like that. And that conversation, you could also talk to them about what are the possibilities for coming and observing them or just being with them for some time and things like that. That is another way to kind of make a direct face-to-face contact with them. The second thing is we're talking about so many of these research fellowships and clinical fellowships and all that. But remember that many places there are also observerships where you can just go stay with a consultant or something like that for some time and observe. So I had actually done this in 2000, I think 5 or 6, where I had gone for a 5-month observership for oculoplasty. I'm in cornea now, but this was oculoplasty in orbit. And what I did at that time was Dr. Amar had actually connected me with one oculoplastic surgeon. But once I went there, I got connected by myself to all the oculoplastic surgeons in the Bay Area, which was a sizable number. And so I would go to every person's operation theater day. I was not interested in the clinical part, but in the OT, because the clinical part I was fine enough with it with my PG training. So I would observe, I would spend every single day in different ORs observing. And at that time, I used to actually record with a handy cam and then come back and, see and take books from the library, spend time in the library, read up all these things and all that. And then when I came back, I was actually doing a lot of oculoplasty work, including lid reconstructions and orbitotomies and blowout fractures and things like that. Actually, there's some videos also which I had uploaded at the time in my YouTube channel. So remember, this is another thing that also you can do. You can actually just go and observe also and learn a lot of things. In US especially, you're not allowed to touch a patient. You cannot go there and do surgical fellowships, but you can also do observerships, which are also very useful way of learning. So these are possibly some other things also which you can think about.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Tendril, you want to add anything more before we go to the certificates?
That's also, we can go ahead with, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So we have a virtual certificate distribution. So this is one of our novel initiatives done by our president, TNOA. So first, I would like to thank Dr. Venkatesh, sir, who's chaired the session. Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable inputs. Next, I would like to thank Dr. C. Balasubramaniam, sir, who was actually co-chairing the session along with Venkatesh, sir. And we have Susan Jacob, ma'am, our SO panel, who also shared her valuable inputs. A big shout out to all the three, Venkatesh, sir, Balasubramaniam, sir, and Susan, ma'am. Thank you, dear all. And we missed Atik, sir, as well as Nirmal, sir, at the end due to their prior commitments at TNOA, so we missed their presence. So I just wanted to share this here. So next, I would like to call upon Venkatesh, sir, to just virtually distribute it. So first will be Dr. Tendril. So it's a virtual distribution, so we are not able to give it in hand in person, but so this is Dr. Tendril who shared our international perspective. Anything you would like to add, sir?
Nothing.
I'll
Continue.
For the certificates. Yes, sir. So then we had our 5 EU speakers. We have Dr. Madhavi R. We had Dr. Apurva N, who are all talking on the conference grants. Then we had Dr. Bharat G talking on the AOS grants. Anujit Paul, who talked us on the Champion of Champion grants. And Akshay SW. So a big thanks to all the 5 EU speakers. So who started on their journey as attending conferences. So how do you go about attending conferences? Then we had the international perspective, which is the final frontier. Going there, settling abroad, how do you go about research fellowships by Dr. Tendril? So we also had a very dynamic Yo question and answer corner by Dr. Pranesh, who led with active discussions, Dr. Vivek Velmani, Dr. Maria Banu, and Dr. Arnav, who was also a recent procurer of one particular grant, the Champion of Champion grants, which Anujit actually won, and along with Dr. Mithun. So then we have Dr. Nishant M, who's chairing this committee, the Yo Task Force Committee, which was initiatives this year. Along with that, myself, Dr. Prasanna Venkatesh Ramesh, and along with me, Niranjan Karthik, who helped me in co-anchoring this session, along with everyone. So a big thanks to the YO team. I think I missed Dr. Mithun's certificate. Yes, this is Dr. Mithun's certificate given by all the 3 seniors who are here, Dr. Venkatesh, sir, Susan Jacob, ma'am, and Dr. Balasubramaniam, sir.
Last but not least, sir, we would like to thank you for making this happen after coordinating so much from the time of inception of this webinar and to speaking and coordinating with the speakers. Like to thank Prasanna, sir, for making this happen also. Thank you so much, sir.
Before we close, I would like to thank all the TNOA office bearers, starting from our president, our president-elect, vice president, our immediate past president, secretary, who also helped me in getting all the work done for the circulation in WhatsApp and email, our treasurer, joint secretary, joint treasurer, our ARC chairman, and our editor, along with the management committee members. The flyer that you are seeing is prepared by Dr. Bala. He is very innovative. I gave him the idea, but the flyer was very innovative with all the Statue of Liberty that you can see below. So those were the ideas of Mr. Bala, who's designing of the flyer. And I would be failing in my duty if I don't thank Numerotech for their extensive support in the technological part of it, which becomes an archive for the other people to see because it's now getting stored and seamless networking that is being done by Numerotech. So forgive me if I fail to thank anyone. So with that, we have come to the close of this meeting. Our president told to convey that he's not able to join because he's in another meeting, which was an emergency one. So a sincere thanks from the bottom of my heart to all the seniors, our 3 seniors, Venkatesh sir, once again, Balasubramaniam sir, and Susan Jacob ma'am, along with our Tendril ma'am from the US perspective. With this, we'll call this to an end. Thank you. Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Angela ma'am, we can
Thank you so much.
we can go.
Okay, doctor. Thank you, doctor.